Now, how much more evidence do we need that the Chinese Communist Party is up to its neck in the world's woes? Well, this time, the evidence is provided by a professor of national development at Peking University in Beijing, who was recorded saying China had put the US back in its place. Chen Ping's comments were unearthed and translated by a New York-based Chinese blogger, Jennifer Zheng.
2020年，中国打赢贸易战、科技战，尤其是生物战的成就是历史上前所未有的。但是在这一次贸易战和这个生物战以后，把美国打输。
Now look, we can either just take this as typical Communist Party propaganda, or we can actually realise the truth of what he's saying and the truth of what has been going on. Because like it or not, the Chinese have all but declared war on the West. Their militarisation of the South China Sea is a war on freedom of shipping. Their barriers to our wine, our seafood and our agricultural exports are a war on our economy. And now this professor has confirmed that they have engaged in biological warfare. One can only conclude he's referring to the release of coronavirus from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Unfortunately, I predict the West, under the leadership of Mr. 10%, aka the big guy, Joe Biden, will be as weak as his spindly legs. You see, if the bloke can't even climb stairs without being blown over by the wind, and that was the official explanation, I've got to tell you, then how the heck is he going to stand up to communist China? In fact, these words will probably empower the militant left. They'll probably use China's claimed success as justification to reimagine Western society and its institutions. Probably another form of the Great Reset, perhaps. Now, if you're in business or you're even just thinking about buying a house, you will know how tough it is to access finance. Even if you're a long-standing customer of the bank, they'll still drill down through every credit charge and question your love of avocado toast or your excessive coffee habit. Now, we all know that too much credit is a bad thing, but businesses and home buyers need ready access to finance. Now, some of the delays are due to the banks and the changes they made during Corona, but the forensic examination of every line of expenditure in your personal balance sheet is due to government regulation, and it's known as responsible lending laws. And it all sounds so cool, doesn't it, to make lending responsible? But you know what? It's only just clogging up the system and making it almost unworkable. And it's even more galling when the government is financing single parents into homes with a 2% deposit, all in the middle of a housing boom, while interest rates are at record lows. I'm sure nothing can go wrong there, of course, unless housing prices actually fall in the future or interest rates rise sometime in the next 30 years. It could be a disaster. And so while fueling what some would consider irresponsible lending, the government is making it so hard for the rest of us to borrow, to invest, to create jobs, and to get our economy going again. Well, I don't know how many times I've had to bang on about this. Lefties, stop kowtowing to China, or what they would call managing the relationship. It sounds so pleasant. Penny Wong, one of the leading advocates of this, lashed out at the PM for supposedly undermining our relationship with Beijing today. She's come out with some outlandish accusation that Morrison is actually stoking tensions with China for his own political gain.
Too much of the discussion on China is frenzied, afraid and lacking context. And this has been made so much worse by a Prime Minister who is only interested to the extent it offers him political value. My concern is that not only does he not fully comprehend Australia's interests in relation to China, he doesn't even seek to. As with anything else and everything else, he only seeks to understand his political opportunity.
Now look, I know that Penny Wong doesn't listen to too many people, but could someone please tell her that maybe, just maybe, China is doing things itself that are causing the problems here? Try this. A senior member of the CCP think tank has claimed that China won a biological war against the US in 2020. I told you about that in the opening. Listen in for what this senior researcher at Peking University, Chen Ping, had to say.
2020年，中国打赢贸易战、科技战，尤其是生物战的成就是历史上 前所未有的、划时代的。
Now, the subject of China and our national interest actually galvanises an odd coalition on occasions. You find Labor, Liberal, Independent senators and others and members of Parliament all getting together, even a Green commentator on occasions, to say we've got to be careful about what is happening to protect ourselves from the Chinese rapacious approach to our region and our nation.